Hey guys, it's Jason over at Kaiser Willys, and today we're going to be talking about a commonly asked question with the oil canister, the oil lines, where they go, the fittings, and so forth. So here we are back in the engine compartment. We're going to address that common question right now. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so here we are back in the engine bay of the CJ2A. I just wanted to talk about a common question, and I guess this is more common than you would think. Regarding the oil canister. So basically oil lines, oil canister, oil line fittings, all of these become common questions for us. You can see right here, oil canister is mounted to the top of the head on the L head. Now, I want to talk about this. I was just trying to do something in another video. I'm going to be switching this out to a straight port fitting. This will not look like this, but I just needed something at the moment. And that was the only fitting I had here at the house. So this will be changed out. That being said, you have two oil lines on the oil canister for either the L head or the F head. One up top and one down below. Now, as you can tell, I am 12 volt, meaning I have an alternator. You can see there's not much room here. Well, maybe kind of hard to see. There's not much room here. Normally this oil line goes straight into this canister. I put a 90-degree fitting here for the oil line to go kind of off to, around the alternator. But this bracket is going to sit much higher than the original generator would have if you had the generator straight port fitting directly in. So this is something that, again, common question we get at Kaiser Willys is, I don't have enough room to have a straight port fitting. Well, if you are 12 volt and you do have an alternator that sits up just a little bit higher than the generator would have, 90-degree fitting into the bottom port. So let's talk about these fittings here, or the fittings and hoses, where they go. You've got this bottom port, which is going to go right down there. I don't know if it'll, right here. That's your timing cover. There is a fitting already welded into this timing cover. So it's not a fitting that you buy or anything like that. It's literally made onto the timing cover. This hose is the short hose. So I've got one right here. So this is the short hose for the L head. You've got a swivel on one end, inverted flare, or a flare, I guess you'd say. Same thing on the other side. That means you will have to use a fitting to install this hose on both sides. So that's very important to note. These will take a fitting on both sides. So let's talk about the couple fittings we have. Here's a straight port fitting. So you see that the flare nut fitting there. So this is what I will be putting right here, because the longer hose is just going to come up and go straight in. Again, this is just temporary so that I could try to do a couple things while I had everything going. So that's your straight fitting. If you have a generator, you can put this here and on the bottom port, because you don't have to worry about the clearance here. Again, the clearance is so tight, this will not work with my setup with an alternator because it sits higher. This would be the 90-degree fitting that I have at the bottom of my canister. I can't get in there to show you, but again, flare nut fitting. This goes in, short hose with the swivels on both sides, directly in here. This same flare nut fitting is what's on that front timing cover. That's your front timing cover down there. Okay, so that's the short hose. Let's talk about the long hose. The long hose has two ends, one being fixed and one being a swivel with a flare fitting. So you can do one of two things there. My recommendation is use the flare nut fitting here. So that would be the straight and the swivel end of that hose would go in there. And it's going to run from this upper port around, looping through the oil canister bracket. There's normally a grommet here. I don't have it in place yet. And this is going to be the fun hose because it is going to go down right below the fuel pump. I don't even know if I can get you in there to see it. You might be able to see it if I can get it to focus. That fitting right there. That fitting is where this hose leads to. It is probably one of the most difficult things to do. So that being said, I put the straight port on that because if I take this hose, if this is all disconnected, if I thread this in there and I link and I go down and I get it to go into that fitting down there, I can turn the whole hose around from up top to try to get it to tighten. If I use the flare side, I've got to put it in there and I got to have a wrench on it the whole way. So this side right here is going to be the easier side to get in and start. And then from this side, put this into a fitting and crank it in with a wrench. So that being said, the fitting change for the block is a straight through fitting. It's not a flare nut fitting. I'll show you these two side by side. Flare nut fitting right here, straight port fitting right there. This fitting right here, and I'm gonna have all these part numbers listed below or in the description of the video. That's your difference between the two. So block, that would be on the canister side. Block, that would be a swivel end. Same thing with the straight line fitting. Flare nut, if you're a generator, it'll probably end up being 1 and 1. Again, this is going to change out, but down here, I have an alternator, the 90-degree fitting flare nut is what I have on the lower part so that I can get it away from that alternator. So that's routing these lines. Again, it's a common question. I guess I didn't realize that it is as questioned as it is, but that's where these oil lines will go. Short, bottom port goes down to the timing cover, long one down there, super annoyingly by the fuel pump. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, guys.